In this video, I'm looking at the OFF1. It's a new Octave Fuzz from Italian pedal makers Mastro Valvola. And I've long been a fan of the Octave Fuzz sound, that kind of screaming 60s out of control lead guitar sound. But this isn't your average 60s style Octave Fuzz, though it can do those things. It's a much more modern take on the Octave Fuzz, and it's a very sophisticated pedal, lots of different options and sounds to explore. So I'm going to begin by playing a little piece of music that I put together to try and showcase some of those sounds, and then we'll take an in-depth look. So just giving you some initial sounds there, and when I think of Octave Fuzz I do think of those classic 60s sounds. So obviously people like Jimi Hendrix, then maybe a bit later people like Ron Asheton of the Stooges, and makes me think of that first Stooges album. And I know there's some debate about exactly what pedals he used on that record, but it certainly sounds to me like a super fuzz pedal, and you can hear that yummy Octave Fuzz goodness on a lot of tracks on that record. But as I say, this pedal doesn't just do all of that 60s stuff. It's much more sophisticated than that, and in fact you could think of it as three pedals in one. You've got three analog circuits in there. We've got the octave section of the pedal, and you've got two sub octaves, and then you can get a higher octave as well. Then we've got the fuzz section of the pedal, and in fact this pedal will work as a great sounding standalone fuzz. And then the killer kind of standout feature for me is the addition of a filter section. And this is the kind of filter you might more commonly find on an analog synth. It's a Moog style so-called ladder filter, and you've got the frequency control, which is just controlling the cutoff point of the low pass filter, a resonance control as well, and it just allows you to further sculpt the octave fuzz sounds and to get into some really interesting sonic areas. Just before we get into more sounds, let me whiz you through the basic layout and controls on the pedal. And if we start on the left hand side, this is where we've got the octave section of the pedal, and we've got three knobs here. We've got dry, sub 1 and sub 2. And you can think of this like a kind of mixer to mix the dry signal and the two different sub octave signals. So the dry control is just a way of blending in the original unaffected guitar signal. Then we've got sub 1, which is an octave below the original signal, and then sub 2, which is another octave below that. Then in the middle we've got three more knobs, and this is the fuzz section of the pedal, and this is fairly self-explanatory. We've got gain, tone and volume, and you can use this as a standalone fuzz pedal if you want to, or you can use it in conjunction with the octave stuff. And we've also got a couple of switches here. On the left we've got a switch which adds in a higher octave to the fuzz sound, and on the right we've got a switch which cuts the mid frequencies of the fuzz. This can often be very useful with fuzz, just to pull out that mid range, giving you, I guess, more of a big muff style fuzz sound. And then finally over on the right hand side we've got the filter section, and here we've got the cutoff control, and that controls the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. So anything below that cutoff frequency will be unaffected, and the frequencies above the cutoff will gradually be attenuated. And you also got a resonance control, and that just exaggerates the frequencies around the cutoff point. And you can engage the filter section with the toggle switch below. And we've got 2 foot switches, and they operate differently depending on which mode you've got the pedal in. I'll tell you a bit more about that later. And they can both be used in latched or momentary modes as well, so lots of options there. I should let you know that the amp I'm using today is my Vox AC30. I'm just running that clean today, and fuzz pedals can sound really good into dirty amps or run into other drive pedals, but today I just want you to hear the natural sound of this pedal. And then the guitar I'm using is my Jazzmaster. This is a 65 reissue Jazzmaster. Let's start exploring some sounds then, and to begin with I'm just going to go through each section of the pedals separately, and then we'll take a listen to how they work together. So starting with the octave section, and remember this is controlled by the 3 knobs on the left hand side of the pedal. So we can start by just bringing up the dry control. And that's just bringing in the direct unaffected signal. And then if we turn up the next knob, we've got sub 1. And you can hear that's bringing in the first sub octave. It's 1 octave below the original signal. And then we can bring in sub 2. So this is not for the faint-hearted, this one. This is 2 octaves below the original signal, and you can get some serious low end from this. Let's engage the fuzz, shall we? So just going to listen to that fuzz circuit on its own, and you can of course use this pedal as a standalone fuzz pedal. let's bring in that upper octave. Let's check out the filter section then, and we can bring that in with this switch here. And we've got two controls here, the cutoff frequency and the resonance. Remember, this is a low pass filter. It lets the low frequencies pass. So it's basically a way of controlling the brightness of the sound, and you can further tweak the sound with the resonance control, which adds an extra bit of a boost to the signal round the cutoff frequency. So let's see how that sounds. Let's check out some more sounds then, and the manual that comes with this pedal actually comes with some really good sounding presets. So I'm going to start by running through a couple of those, and this one is called 70s Sour Fuzz, and it's more of a low gain kind of fuzz sound. It sounds like this. Let's have another one. This is called Monophonic Combat Bass, and we've got both of the sub octaves in there as well as the fuzz section switched on. Wow, that sounds huge in this room. I love that one. And you can hear that when you start blending the sub octaves with the fuzz section, you can quite quickly get into some extreme, quite experimental territory, which I absolutely love. So here's another preset called Monophonic Synth Style Distortion. And this is a similar kind of sound, got the two sub octaves, the fuzz, but this time I'm going to bring in the filter section as well. There we go, couldn't resist playing that one. Some of you might recognise it. I think it was originally played on a synth, but it sounds amazing through this pedal. We've also got an expression pedal input, and that means you can control the filter cutoff with an expression pedal, and this is a really cool feature. Another nice feature is that the foot switches operate in momentary mode when you hold your foot down on the foot switch, and that means that you can momentarily insert either the lower octaves or the higher octaves into a sound depending on which mode you've got the pedal set up in. So I've just got a 60s style fuzz sound dialed up here, and I'm going to step on the left hand foot switch occasionally just to inject a bit of that lower octave into the proceedings. And you can also do a similar thing by momentarily inserting the higher octave. And to do that, you have to switch the mode of the pedal. You just have to power up the pedal by holding down the left-hand foot switch, and then that left-hand foot switch acts as the octave up on-off control. And if you just hold your foot down on that button, you can just momentarily insert that sound. So let's try that. So that's it for this video. I've really enjoyed playing with this pedal today, and it's capable of a huge range of great octave fuzz sounds. And I think whether you're into the 60s stuff or more into the fearless sonic experimentation side of things, this pedal can give you what you need. So check it out. I'm going to put details of the Mastro Valvola website below. I'm not sure exactly what price this pedal is going to sell at yet. It hasn't been released, but all the details will be there on the website, I'm sure. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.